Welcome, everyone, to episode 267 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pentalaresco. I write stuff in podcast 2. Today, I'm doing part 1 of my 2-part conversation with Virginia Carraway Stark. Virginia is an awesome writer, and I always am a big fan of her, and it's great that I actually got the opportunity to chat with her again. It had been a long time. She's been through quite a bit, but she's still in some ways the same person, which I think is really, really enjoyable. We have a really fun conversation ahead. I have 2 winners from last week's contest. Heather Wilkie, you won a copy of Undine's Tear. I have not heard back from the other individual yet, so I'll forego from announcing them, but there's a winner for Adam Drees's book as well. Also, Naomi Kennedy won 49th Parallels. I sincerely hope she got it. Got to her front door. I dropped it off, so here's hoping. But congratulations, Naomi, for that. Outside of that, I'm getting ready to do my thing for the week. This is going to be a different week. I officially applied for my transfer to go elsewhere. I feel it's the kind of the right time to do that. It's left me kind of torn. I'm working on right now Cloud Divers edits, and that's pretty much going to be my focus all this week. So you probably won't hear from me for too much this week and next week. But I'm looking forward to. I recognized last week that I really, really do need this change, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going for it. And we're going to kind of see where things go from here. Outside of that, contest is still up. I have listened to last week for 5 Critical Things by Adam Drees. If you want to enter right now, you can do so. Another copy of Undine's Tear is available as well, so put your name in the mailing list. I will draw it next Sunday, and I will announce the winner. All right, let's just get to our conversation, shall we? The following podcast is sponsored by author-editor Talina Winters. Talina has just released her book, The Undine's Tear, which is book 1 of the Rise of the Grigori trilogy. It is a young adult setting which has a very interesting take on mermaids and mermen, which are called Undines. You can find this book on Amazon, Kobo, and all available book platforms, or you can get more information on TalinaWinters.com or through her social media channels at Talina Winters. And by The Raven Podcast. The Raven Podcast is the brainchild of Jason Lavelle. Each episode, he actually narrates a story from an author, and then him and the author get together and they do an interview about the story. This is a perfect commute podcast on the way to work. They're short and very memorable. I really dig Jason's take on interviews and how he conducts himself in telling stories. He's an awesome narrator. He's a great guy, and this is a great podcast. Check it out at theravenpodcast.com or on any podcast app you are aware of. And by Adam Drees. Adam Drees' latest book is 5 Critical Things for Successful Book Signings. It is one of the best books you can read on how to conduct yourself at a book signing, book presentation, speech, you name it. Adam is a fantastic writer, but he's also a fantastic presenter, and this book is for any author trying to get as good as he is. Check out the book on any available platform, Amazon, Kobo, or brick and mortar bookstores as well. Recorder on right now, so anything incriminating, make it good, okay?
I did it.
Yeah, okay. Did what, though?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Does that make me really guilty or really innocent?
Or neither, or any, or. It's all good, though. So
it's existentialistic guilt.
I'm too old for that shit. No, I came to a realization about, reading Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Now, there's definitely some flaws to that book, but one of the things she does point out very well is the levers of control for most people are fear and guilt. Mm-hmm. So if you eliminate, I'm not saying you shouldn't feel like you shouldn't have remorse for what you do when you screw up, but you own it and move on. It's actually a good thing, because then it can't be held over you. If you feel guilty, right, people can use that to enslave you forever and ever and ever and ever, and that's a bad thing. So I decided that, you know what, I'm going to feel remorse, but I'm going to try not to be guilty.
Well, I think for me, there's always things that you're going to do that are going to end up hurting other people, because, I found out things that I did that I had no idea. hurt other people, like things I did when I was a teenager, and like I broke boys' hearts and I had no idea, and I felt so bad after. And those are things that are like, you're never going to catch all of those. And so what I try to do is just have the like no regrets, or if you get a tattoo, no regrets.
Regrets. Nice.
You know how they always misspell tattoos.
Yeah, they do. Sometimes like, hey, I love you. K-E. K-E? Is there supposed to be something more to that? No, it's been weird. I think I've become successful. I'm not sure how this happened exactly, but I think it's starting to happen.
It's a terrifying feeling, isn't it?
At first, yeah. Because you're not, because you realize that you're not doing anything really any different. You're just now, especially if you want to keep getting success, it's not, you don't change anything. You're just still doing what you're doing. All that's happened now is that people notice you.
The biggest thing that I've noticed with any success is that, for me, once it happens, whatever it is, you realize that there is no end to what you may or may not accomplish in life. You know, so once you start achieving things, you're like, okay, that's cool. Like, adult screenplays, they got nominated at Cannes, they got honorable mentions. Is that success? They didn't win. But I mean, like, holy shit. You know, like, that was cool. But then it's like, where is the bar for success? Do you have to win an Oscar before it's success? Do you have to win 5 Oscars? Like, you know, success is kind of a weird thing, because the more you get of it, the bigger it has to be before it's more success, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, like, okay, so for me, I won an Aurora. It's literally to my right. I'm like, I won an Aurora. How did that happen? And I literally had nothing to do with it. That's the best part about it, is I really didn't have anything to do with it. I voted for myself, and that's the only part of it I really did. I didn't put myself down. I just got an email one day, dear Aurora Award finalists, like, damn. Right? And so that happened. I just got published in the latest issue of On Spec. My conversation with Spider Robertson there was a piece of it transcripted exclusively for the magazine.
Yeah, I heard that. It was very cool.
Yeah. And Spider was awesome. I mean, and that's the other thing too. I'm talking to cool. I've made some big life changes since we last talked. I fixed my teeth.
Mm-hmm.
I
noticed that. I could see.
Yeah. But it's a big moment, because there's me before the teeth were fixed and there's me after the teeth are fixed. And go on.
Sorry, but I was just going to say, in all seriousness, I have a lot of empathy for you about that, because my little brother had teeth that were not fixed until he was in his 20s. And, like, the difference in his self-esteem and, you know, the impact. Like, you look at all of his pictures when he's little and he doesn't smile.
Yes.
And so I have a lot of empathy for you about that. I really understand.
Well, the weird thing for me about that whole thing was I didn't realize what I was carrying with me until it was time to get rid of it. Like, that's the thing. Like, I tell people this all the time. Like, my teeth don't hurt. They never have. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, too, is, it's not like when I initially saw it, like, how it happened, that it was, like, a terrible, 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 like, oh my God, no, I survived a very, very, very important trial in my life. So at first, it wasn't, like, a big deal. And I know that seems weird. That seems weird for some people, but it's the truth. It wasn't a big deal. And then as time went on, you get used to it, and then that's what I did not expect. Like, you don't expect what you hold inside yourself when you are used to it.
Yeah.
Right. And then when it came time to get rid of the teeth, like to fix the teeth, I knew I had to do it. I had to face a lot of the things that I didn't deal with the first time around. Led to some very interesting confrontations on Facebook. I won't go into those.
Really? That's interesting.
Well, it's because, again, it's dealing with all the issues in my past. And a bunch of them just came out, like, it was really funny. There was a back-to-back thing Not going to mention what happened on Facebook, but that happened at the same time something in my day job happened, and it just made me realize how I carried myself had to change. It just had to change. And so when I fixed the teeth, I made a very, very conscious vow with everything, because I realized also something very important. I've mentioned this in my previous podcast with John Maven. People do exactly what they want to do. And the way to kind of not say armor exactly, but to be prepared for this, what this reality and it fully implies is, I made a conscious decision not to chase people. I decided that the people that really, 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 really want to be in my life will be in my life, no matter what. And the people that don't really, really want to be in my life will not make any effort whatsoever. And their actions are going to tell me what it is, and no matter what the action they choose, I will respond accordingly to each person, and not with like a bitterness, but more like, okay, this is what you want to do, and I will respect that. And either way, and I will if you make time for me, I will make time for you. We will grow into a friendship, and we'll be there together through thick and thin. If you don't want to be around, you're going to make it very clear in your actions that you don't want me in your life, and I respect that. It's nothing, no hard feelings. I'm just going to treat, again, that you don't want to be there, I will respond accordingly. And what I've noticed is, like, I've filtered out a lot of people in my life that did not want to be there. And what has replaced it are people that genuinely want to be there. And I find that I'm in a healthier headspace. And as a result of being in a happier headspace, good things have happened. Does that make sense?
It does, because if you're running after people, first of all, people can kind of smell that desperation, and they're kind of like, generally people who don't chase people around don't really want to be around people who chase them around, so it's kind of like you enter a different caliber of people, if you know what I mean. Like, yes. Like celebrities. Like, if you meet a celebrity and you're like, oh my god, I'm so excited to meet you, they're gonna think you're lame.
At first, it's flattering at first, and then it gets awkward really quick. It's like
really quick.
Yeah, it gets awkward really, really, really fast, and yeah, you take the humanity out of it, and you're like, well, now I'm not so interested. Like, I would have liked to have met you. I'm sure you're an interesting person, but you can't talk to me. And so I'm not interested anymore. And I can understand the celebrity's point of view.
And, like, I love getting fan mail. Fan mail is so cool. And, like, when I hear from fans and I see those words, what you wrote changed my life. What you wrote was just what I needed to hear when I needed to hear it. Those sorts of things. Like, I'm so happy. But people who are like actual fans, it goes really quick from fan into stalker.
Yes. Yes. I had an interesting experience tonight before I met you. A friend of mine invited me to her house for dinner. And I joked that she was my stalker. It turns out, I found out. And I'm sure I should be taking this a lot worse than I am, but she's been recording conversations ever since I've been coming over for the last little bit. It's like, wait, what? It's like...
Well, are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, so... And the more she tried to justify it, the more it was like, no. And it was just like, okay, boundaries. Boundaries are good. If you ask permission, it's almost like a mom taking a photograph. If you don't ask permission, you're a stalker. There's a big, big difference. And...
Yeah. Well, okay, imagine if you didn't tell people you were doing podcasts and you just called people up and recorded the conversations and posted them.
Yeah, that wouldn't last very long. I'd be meeting with a lawyer very, very quickly, actually, among other people.
In Canada, it is legal to record people without their permission.
All right. Well,
I have actually spoken to a lawyer about that, and yes, you can record a conversation with someone, and you can use it in court. So yeah, it's pretty scary, really.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and this is the other, like, the side effect of what I've been doing. I've become very trusted in terms of what I do. A lot of people know me, a lot of people respect me, and a lot of people, trust me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't take that lightly. So because if the moment I lose that, I lose all credibility. And if I lose credibility,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. People who I can understand. I can understand if you're in a threatening situation, recording someone.
Yeah.
But recording them because you really like them?
It's kind of creepy, yeah.
That's really creepy.
Yes. Kind of, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I wonder how high our voices can go.
Yeah, very, very high. It's kind of, because yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where you're like, well, shit, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had to talk, and hopefully it stops. If it doesn't, it's really awkward. And, yeah. That's all.
Well, and then the scary thing is like, okay, now you've talked about it, so will she keep it secret from you?
Well, I'm not gonna. You know what? I'm honestly not really that worried. I know this sounds like I'm being very laissez blah about this, but I'm not really worried about that as much as maybe I should be. Again, people are gonna do what they want to do, but it's like anything else. If you burn my trust, which will be what'll happen if I find out that this is what she's done, right? And you're gonna burn my trust over essentially nothing, right?
Yeah, essentially a fetish.
Yeah, essentially nothing. Then I'm not gonna want to deal with you, and I'm gonna be right not to want to deal with you. And as a result of this, that'll be it. That'll be the end. Right? And then you got to ask yourself, what was that really worth? What you got out of it? And the answer is probably not. You know what I mean? It just probably isn't.
Yeah.
But
people are just weird sometimes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah.
But I've had enough stalkers that I actually have a bug sweeper.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Welcome to celebrity. Yay.
Oh yeah, yay! I had one girl who believed all my writing was real, and she's deceased now.
I'm sorry to hear.
She said it was her or me, and then she went away, and she enacted something she read in one of my books to kill herself.
That's disturbing.
Very traumatizing.
Yeah, that's kind of disturbing. I'm not gonna lie. That's
that's
not what you want to hear.
It is not. It is not. And when someone says, what you write is real, right away, the back of your neck.
Yeah, it's not what you want start hearing right away from someone. It's just
no. I won't go into it, but it was like one of those situations that was like off the rails. Like I would show up at her place and she said, "Oh," and like she'd obviously been sleeping, and she said, "You're here. I thought you wouldn't stop talking." And I was like, "What?" She said, "Well, you've been talking for the past 2 hours to me." I was like, "What do you think I told you to do?"
Well,
it's like, I'm the voice in someone's head. That's not cool.
Well, no, it's yeah, you go, why am I doing this? And then you're like, oh, this is why I'm doing this. And it is what it is. Again, people are going to do what people are going to do. And people are looking for answers or something to go for. Whoever that is, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of the price of it. Like, with the way things have been going with me, I am probably going to be famous before I'm rich. Right?
That's pretty normal.
I actually generally think it is. But what I'm noticing as far as that goes, though, is that means I'm going to be dealing with celebrity as time goes on, and a little unusual because I do write, my podcast is becoming more and more like well known, and the more well known it becomes, the more people are going to listen to it, and the more people are going to listen to it, and the more people are going to be like, hey, they think they know me. And I mean, I'm very honest on the podcast, but I'm also me. You know what I mean? And
well, yeah, it's like anytime you interact, there's different versions of you. Like, when you go into your doctor, the person you're talking to is not the same person who sits at home with his wife and kids.
Absolutely not. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, there's definitely a line with me. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm, what's the term, uninviting, or that I don't want you to be in my life, or things of that nature. It's just, there are very different me's. There's me that wants to be very quiet. There's me that wants to be very, me that wants to just be very, like, content reading a book. There's me that, it's a bit of a single slot. Has to, although not for much longer on the single thing, it looks like. So, yeah. Yes. So I'm trying to overcome some of my deficiencies as a person, right? Because I mean, honestly, like nothing drives a guy more than trying to impress a chick. It's true. It's just the way. Yeah, it's so true. It's the absolute truth. But what I'm getting at though basically is right. There are different people. And like I said, working for the author I worked for, I learned an awful lot about celebrity. And about, like, the fact is that no matter who you are, you're still just a person. There's no, I have limitations, I have faults, I have flaws. I'm not perfect, and nor are they. And in one very real way, we're a lot alike. In another very real way, we're very different, right? And just where we are in our points in life. And I learned, and that was a very valuable lesson, because now I'm not afraid to approach anybody anymore. It just don't matter. Hey, you want to talk? Cool. You don't want to talk? That's also cool. I'm not gonna hold that against you either way. You do you, I'll do me. We'll all be happy.
Yeah, and like you never know what comes up in people's lives, and like maybe one week someone would be perfectly happy to do an interview, and the next week, I don't know, their cat died. Like, stuff happens in people's lives all the time that has nothing to do with us, and that's a big thing that I've really learned about people is, like, not to jump to conclusions, because you don't know what's going on in their life, so whatever you're seeing them behave like, they could be much different on another day. Like, if something bad's gone on, people shouldn't do it, but they pay that forward. And so if you talk to someone, a week later, they could turn into a very nice friend or person. So, I try not to judge with those first impressions, because
I do to a point. I can respect the fact that you have a bad day, and I can respect the fact that things happen. But I've also just made the decision. I don't care who you are. I'm not going to let you walk on me. And
that's a very good decision.
Yes, and I don't care how bad your day is. I'm going to smash you. And I mean, I'm not like it's a literal thing, but I'm just like, you know what? I don't have to put up with your shit. I'm sorry you're having a bad day, but I don't really gotta put up with your shit. If you're gonna make me put up with your shit, you're gonna pay me. Because it's the only way I'm going to put up with it. It's the only way I'm going to do it. If you pay me, hey, I'm an honest whore. I can be very honest about myself. Right? And I'm going to be like, hey, listen, there's depending on the shit you're trying to throw at me, there might be financial recompense for it, and I can deal with it, and maybe I'm good therapy for you in this moment in time. But the moment we get to the point where, it's no longer therapy. It's getting into abuse. Well, then I'm going to either ask to raise my price or I'm going to leave. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry you don't like it. But I got more important things to worry about. And I know that sounds really simplistic, but I mean it's just that's how I deal. It's like I don't need to put up with your shit, so I'm not going to. Now I might try to talk to you again another day. Go, okay, listen, let's have a beer. Let's have a good time. But if you're still a dick, I'm just going to conclude you're a dick.
Yeah, and that's really fair.
Mm-hmm.
I like, that's part of why I've stopped being on Facebook more, because I really realized that, first of all, there's a lot of drama on Facebook, no matter how hard you try to not have drama. If you have any self-esteem, there's going to be drama on Facebook, because at some point you're going to put your foot down and people are going to freak out.
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. I tend to, I have this is my approach to Facebook. I play on Facebook. I play on Instagram, I play on Twitter. I try to be positive. I talk about important stuff like ice cream and Baileys, because that's very important. You know, I think that's important.
We did discuss that a bit in our last conversation.
Yes, you did. And by the way, if people universally agree with you, no one believes anybody that says they don't like ice cream. I think everybody agrees with you on that.
Lactose intolerant people.
They still eat it.
Yeah, some don't.
Some don't. It depends on how bad the lactose. It's not that they dislike ice cream. They just dislike how the body processes ice cream. Some of them some of them just don't care. I have seen lactose intolerant people go all in on ice cream. Say, I don't give a rat's. I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's just like, I need it. This is better than the payback.
Yes. But it's like, I'll take the price happily. I just can't do it often. And you know what? I can respect that. You know, it's like, but going back, it's like I've made my Facebook very deliberately. I don't talk about my beliefs. I believe in God. I have no problem talking about faith with anybody on Facebook. But I keep do keep it very religiously low key. I don't talk politics at all. Politically speaking, I am pretty much an atheist. So I just figure I'm not gonna get into how I feel politics work on there, because I'm just gonna get into a fight with a bunch of other people. I'm not playing for any team. I don't want to be on any team. But I just don't really want to deal with it. So I don't. I talk about unicorns that fart rainbows. By the way, you're gonna be really happy to know the unicorn that farts rainbows will be coming out in the end of summer.
Oh, thank goodness.
I know. I know. My sister actually bought me a unicorn pen for Christmas. It's a unicorn that farts with rainbow tail. You pull and literally writes out of its ass.
That's pretty cool.
Yes. Yes, yeah. It is. Yes, it is. but that's the thing. I keep it very. I try to be inspiring. I do I've been doing these inspirational stuff throughout since the. Since I right before I won, and since I've won, I've kept it motivating and things of that nature, because it's like there's not enough of that. Now I'm sure I'm going to get trolled at some point, you know, and that's fine. People will try to troll me.
Yeah.
And my response is always the same thing. I'm going to tell you, like, this is how I deal with trolls. I ask them one question. Are you done? Done what? You sound like you had a lot to say. I've let you say. Are you done, or do you need to say more? I'll let you go. I mean, I don't care. And sometimes they'll hear the ghost. Like, okay, when you're done, give me a shout.
Yeah.
And that's it. If someone tries to troll or make fun of me, I went on an editor of a comic book editor's Facebook, because she was talking about horror and young adults, and like, she's a horror person and she's doing young adult stuff, and she's shocked. It's not a shock to me, because I think horror and young adult use the same tools, just inversely. Horror has everything kind of dark, with like the one really bright spot usually in the horror story, just to give you the idea of what just to give you the idea of where the horror world is. Right, you see that bright spot of normalcy, whereas young adult is generally very optimistic and hopeful, bright, but with like this real big darkness in the middle, around it. Something very adult too. I find they're the same tool. So if I'm not surprised when horror writers are good young adult writers, because I don't really think it's that much of a stretch. But when I didn't explain that as well as I should have, and I end up getting heckled by somebody else. It's like, okay. Done. It's well, no, and she kind of supported it. It's like, but I just like, okay, that's fine. If this is what you want, I complimented him on his one-liner. I said, you guys gotta go laugh and move on. She's like, nobody laughed. My mistake. But again, I exercise myself out of the social media awkward. I don't need to play. I don't have to play, so why play?
Yeah, I don't know, for me, I realized that, like, there came a point and I was just like, I'm spending so much energy on these people, and many of them are awesome people, but then you get these people who are like, they just sink their teeth into your time.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's like, okay, I'm sorry, I don't actually know you. If it's a guy, it can be very awkward because, you know, especially if they're like talking to me a lot when we don't really have a lot to say. You know, it's like, you know, remember back to I'm married?
Yeah, that, to be, I it's one of those situations, and this is something I've kind of noticed. I've heard this from a bunch of different people I've talked to in the last little bit. I'm friends with some really, really, really pretty women, and I'm in this weird, wacky point though where I make eye contact. We're talking. So I have a friend. She's a model, and she posted this really amazing breakfast she had. It's like, can I? I thought it was her lunch. She's like, can I steal your lunch? She says, go for it. That was my breakfast. So my response was, can I steal that too? Like, just like friendly banter. I'm treating her like a person, which I think is the real thing. Like, I'm not just treating her like. I have a secret theory about women, and my theory is most women know they're hot. They don't want to hear it in very plain tones, but they know they're pretty. So, if you are going to compliment a woman on how pretty she is, be creative about it. Don't be blunt. But on the flip side too, they also talk to them, like as in talk to people as if they're people. Because what you will find is, yes, they are people just like you with the thoughts, goals, dreams. They're capable. They do some badass things. And you'll admire them more. It might not be, like, in your case, you're married, so you're not interested in picking up anybody. But you are interested in making friends. You are interested in working with people that want to help you out. And, you know, like, that's why you're back on this podcast, because I like to think I'm awesome. You're awesome, too.
And, like, I like doing collaboratives.
Yes.
Like, I love doing collaborative projects. I'll do reviews for people. You know, like if someone wrote something, I'll read it and either tell them what I think or give them a review on wherever they're published.
Yep.
If they're published, and otherwise, you know, just tell them like some thoughts on it, and you know, like all of that stuff. That's great, but if someone starts like crossing those boundaries, and I've had a few people do that, and I'm like, I don't even know what to say to them. It's like, okay, that's really close to the line. Stepped over it yet? If they step over, it's easy. You know, it's like,
yeah, there's a
chance, then I block you.
well, it's that weird. There's a gray area, right? Again, going back to what I'm saying, I can say you're a beautiful woman, and I can mean that, and it's not necessary, and there's no harm in that. But if I get really specific about something, that's when it starts getting into that boundary level, right? Right? And you don't really want to hear that from me, right? Your husband, yes, right?
Yeah.
You're right. You totally want to hear it from your husband. You want him to wine you, dine you, have a good time with him have a good time with you, and that's normal, right? Or normal-ish in this day and age. I don't know if there's a normal anymore, but the point is, right? You have there. He can cross that boundary. He's married to you. But because, right, I can't. And I shouldn't. And I won't. Because I like being friends with you. And I want to stay friends with you. And I don't want to have a talk with anybody about my behavior in regards to you. I think though, honestly, I think every guy makes this mistake at some point. They cross boundaries with women. Sometimes by accident. Sometimes it's an accident. Sometimes And when it's an accident, you learn from it. Hopefully, I think what's happened today is that there's a lot of people out there that no longer know how to talk to people.
Yeah.
In
male or female, they don't know how to talk to people, and it can be a little awkward or blunt, and someone could say something, like, I don't know. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but, like, I like the way your necklace dangles between your breasts, like something like that.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, and, like, okay, it could be just awkward, so...
Yeah,
thank you. And move along with the conversation, but if they want to fixate on that, then we have a problem.
Yeah, listen. I know I have nice breasts, but no. Just no.
I usually just say, "Thank you." Conversation along.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, I get it.
I don't know, maybe I'm a little lenient, but it's like, I don't know what else to say, because how much of it is awkward? It could be like Asperger's for all I know.
Well, no, I mean, it's about you gotta be comfortable, too. Like, you gotta be comfortable. And if you're not comfortable, right, then you shouldn't have to deal with it. And that's fine. Like, if Facebook and Twitter have gone, if Facebook and Twitter have become to the point where all you're surrounding yourself with is people that are awkward around you, and it's not your platform for... See, I'm kind of stuck on social media a little bit, because I'm like, I have a podcast, and social media is how I built my podcast, so I can't just walk away. But if you're in a position where it's not really a major part of your life or a major part of your platform, and it's making you uncomfortable, you shouldn't be on it as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, like, for being on social media less, that I have fewer followers and things than I used to have. But I also noticed that there wasn't a huge difference in sales. So it's like, just because they're followers doesn't mean they're buying stuff.
No.
And doesn't mean that they're actually paying attention and reading. So... I'll spend time on social media, but now it's when I feel like it. It's like, I feel like engaging with people, not I feel like I should go do this. And it's made me a lot happier.
Oh, yeah. Totally. And that's how you should treat it. Like, I mean, everybody has to figure out their balance with social media, and I'm no different. Like, I'm looking forward to a couple years down the road where I'm not on social media as much myself. Not because I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I really don't care about status. I really don't. I'm more interested in growing my audience, and when my audience has grown to an X amount of point, I not necessarily have to be, I don't have to be quite so engaged in the social media realm. Does that make sense, or does it sound like crazy?
No, I totally get it. Like, I don't know if in the world we're in, if there's ever an escape, really, from social media, which is kind of terrifying, because it is really invasive after a point. But, yeah, I get that. I don't know, like, it kind of sinks its claws into you. And the point where I realized that I wasn't very happy with it was where I realized that there were people there who really didn't care about things that were going on in my life that were very intense. And I needed people who cared in my life. Not people who just be like, angry face, sad face, but people who would actually care. And you don't get that on social media from very many people.
No. One second here.
Sure.
Speaking of social media, yes, I've been dinged. Yeah, it's me again. it's the nature of what I do, right? I have to be on this, but I don't have to be because social media makes it really easy for people not to be genuine. That's the thing, right? So I've approached, like, my approach to social media is I don't reveal every single thing in my life, although I've done some things for sure. I'm not hiding anything, if that makes sense. But I'm
you
but
present an optimistic face, but like a genuine face.
Yeah, well, no, it has to be genuine, or no one buys it. I mean, do you know how many people come to me and go, your advice you make it sound so easy, and I go, nope, I'm not making say it's easy at all. I keep it simple. That's what I do. There's a big difference, right? There's a big difference. But what happens on social media is you can be anything you want on social media. There's this song by Brad Pitt called Online, and I think about that sometimes when I see some of the people I see on here. We're all some degree ourselves on this thing, because no matter how good we are, we can't completely hide. But on the same token, there are people that present certain personas, people that present like I said, I'm just talking about my model friend again. She presents, pieces of her life, very small pieces of her life. And her modeling, sometimes she'll show things about her kid, which I totally get, because that's important to her. But that's it. Like, she doesn't talk about her personal life, social life. Like, she keeps it very, very... And again, so she's presented an aspect of herself that she's comfortable presenting, and the rest is that. I've seen people, like, be something they're not. I've seen people try to present themselves as perfect, which is I think the dumbest thing you can do on social media, because it's about credibility. But the thing is, it's a really easy trap to fall into, right? I decided I'd be optimistic and talk about ice cream and Bailey's, because you can't. It's really hard to screw that up, right? It's really, really hard to screw that up, and but it's easy. It's not something It's not something I have to work at. I don't have to think about it. I can be genuine, and not pretend anything. And then there are people who just try to be, life is perfect and wonderful and filled with fluffy, whatever the hell it is. And I'm like, okay, you're full of shit, right? Yeah. You're just full of shit, and I can tell. And some of these things. And thing is, those are the people that take pot shots at other people for doing stuff. I've seen cyberbullying be a big thing, especially on Twitter. Twitter's really bad, and what happens is you have these people who are in the comfort of their own home, judging other people from a distance, just looking out the window and judging, and that's pretty much what it is. And so I'm like, that's where it can get really toxic. And I know the more successful I become, the more and more I'm going to be exposed to that. So, I mean, I can block them all somewhat, some way, somehow. But I know there's going to come a point in my life where I'm not going to be reading my social media anymore, like my Facebooks, my Twitters, just my messages. And even them, I'm sometimes going to be like, block, because it's going to become, I'm going to value my personal space.
Yeah.
And so what I'm basically coming to is, it's a weird thing. It connects us all together. I've never met you in person, but I'm able to have this conversation with you because of social media.
Yeah, and that's the very awesome thing about social media, is that it does bring real people together, and you make real friends, like friends that you end up meeting in person later on, and that part is awesome.
I still gotta meet you and your husband at some point. We gotta make that happen.
Yes.
we gotta make that. We gotta make that happen, because I like you both. Anthony is a really, really, really cool dude, and you and me are alike in one sense, but not, we both like dabbling in things, lots and lots of things.
Yeah, and like learning new things and doing new things, and like that's one of my favorite things about social media is the sorts of things that with people who I never would have done them with. That sounds kind of kinky, actually.
It can be. I mean, I don't judge. Like, in this day and age, you can't judge anymore. So.
But like, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 things called drabbles published in the past couple of weeks. And I didn't know what a drabble was before.
So what is it?
Do you know what a drabble
No,
is?
I'm asking. What is it?
It's kind of cool. It's exactly 100 words of writing.
Oh, okay.
And it's based off of a theme. And the first drabble I ever wrote was for a girl who I've done quite a bit with. And she has a blog that she just does drabbles on. And so I was a guest drabbler. And then I just found this publisher who is looking for drabbles. They're doing like 6 different books of drabbles. And so I submitted, and I've been accepted into most of the books, I think, now. I think I'm missing 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they're really fun because it's a test of your ability as a writer to be able to tell a story, to engage people with characters and settings, and sometimes whole worlds. It's a way to hold the idea of a story for later, you know?
Yep. Let's see.
And they're really fun because, like, 100 words precisely, not one more, not one less.
A buddy of mine does something similar with that with postcards, actually. And he does 100-word stories on postcards, and he sends them out like once a month to certain, like, people pay for them, and he sends them. And it's Peter Chakowski. He's a really, 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 really talented comic book creator too. And so it is a hard thing to do 100 words on because it's you're capturing a very, very brief moment, and you have to really, really think about it. I find the smaller the word count, the harder it is to get the exact balance of nuance.
Yeah, and to get there's one I submitted that I haven't heard back yet, but all the others were accepted. And I had made one small typo in one of them, so that with the editing it would have been like 102 words. So I had to resubmit that one, and then it got accepted. But it is just like so precise, and like you can convey so much emotion if you're focused on it, you know, and you can get people wrapped up in this idea of this world, and then, you know, if you want to, you can go and you can build off of that. You can go and build whole series of novels off of a drabble.
Yeah.
And I never would have known what a drabble was if I hadn't had a friend on Facebook tell me about them.
No, and that's a cool thing, right? You can always learn, right? You can always learn stuff, right?
Exactly, and it's so much fun. Like, I love that. It's just...
Yeah.
I like being with other people, bouncing ideas off of them, and just that spirit of sharing. I've heard so many people say writing is a solitary pursuit, and I just don't think that has to be the case.
I actually don't think it is the case at all. I you know, like, I've been thinking about, like, in light of, like, everything I've been doing and just podcasting and writing in general. So, for my Alice Zero thing, which is about to come out, I swear to God, it's about to come out. And no, I literally have to do 2 things. I have to make a legal page, right? I have to figure out how to perfect the cover on GIMP slightly, and then I have to finish the corrections a bunch of people suggested, just small little things, and it's ready to go. It's done. So, but to get to this point, I had people read my story. I had Colleen Anderson suggest I write this story. I had a bunch of people. Encourage me. People give me advice, like give me input in terms of, because I'm mixing Alice in Wonderland with Greek mythology. Alice is Pandora, and so I had people help advise me on the Greek mythology side of things. I had people advise me on the Alice in Wonderland side of things, right? And so I'm thinking already I've had like half a dozen people, at least, as I mentioned right here. And that's not everybody. So I'm like, So it's not solitary at all for me. I mean, I don't think there's any story. The Cloud Diver. I had Randy McCharles gave me some great things. My editor Ellen Michelle is giving me kind of corrections to work on. I've had other people come in, read it, give me some help. I mean, none of these things are done on their own. I think the biggest lie we tell ourselves is that we are alone, but it does seem lonely at times, for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the first times, like, I don't know, I guess, see, for me, it was always a kind of community thing, because I didn't mean to become a writer. Like, for me, I just had these interesting stories, and I told them to people, and I had a friend tell her friend about it, and he happened to be a movie producer. So he asked me to make some movies for him, and I refused at first. I was like, I don't know how to write movies. And he was like, please, please, please. And so I went to the library and learned how to write movies, and that was how it came about, was because I was sharing stories in a completely informal way.
Yes.
I was essentially asked to be a writer. But, like, when you get into things and getting people to write, like, forewords for your books, I find that to be a really intimate and wonderful gift. You mentioned Randy McCharles, and that made me think of it, because he wrote just the most wonderful foreword to an anthology. Yeah. And I was just like, wow, that was such a gift that he did that. And I think that, those sorts of sharings are awesome.
And that was my conversation, or at least part one of it, with Virginia Carraway Stark. Part two will air this Thursday. And that, as they say, is that will do it for this episode of Just Joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so a number of different ways. You can subscribe to the podcast. I am on a variety of platforms: iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podomatic. You can find me there. You can support my sponsors. The Raven Podcast by Jason Lavelle is a great podcast. Go to theravenpodcast.com. Listen to some great episodes there. Talina Winters has got the Undines tier. Adam Drees has got 5 critical things. Go check out their books. Buy them, read them, support them. They're awesome. Also, you can do the same for my podcast. Leave reviews, spread the word, share the podcast. That would be greatly appreciated, however you would do so. I am on YouTube as Joshua Pantellaresco. I have more episodes up. Currently, 193 episodes are archived on the podcast. So you can listen to more content there if you choose. Outside that, my books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God, are available through mirrorworldpublishing.com. You can buy my books there. Stay tuned for more information on Alice Zero and the Cloud Diver very, very shortly. In regards to just some life decisions, I have to make a decision about something else. So which one I'm going to release before I go. I actually have a plan with that. But stay tuned. More info is coming. My Twitter and Instagram is at jpantellaresco. You can find me on Facebook at Joshua Pantellaresco, author, podcaster. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Do your thing, whatever that is. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. All right. See you guys next time.
Josh.